Between last night and this morning, Donald Trump has spent quite a bit of time thinking and ranting about Marjorie Taylor Greene, his former MAGA BFF, who suddenly announced that she was resigning from Congress yesterday. And we have to talk about this. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, it's not exactly a surprise that Trump would have things to say about the person who was formerly his strongest supporter, by far his highest profile, one of his biggest fundraisers, the woman who went to bat for him, as she pointed out in her resignation video, more than anybody. Well, now she's gone, and Trump has had a lot to say between the past 12 hours, basically, and he's been all over the place. So, as Mediaite says in its headline, and we discussed this in a separate video, Marjorie Taylor Greene savages Trump in blistering resignation video. Watch and read the full statement, which you absolutely should. But just again, to give you why he might be pissed, because she definitely took her shots at Trump in her resignation video, which were richly deserved. Jake Sherman of Punchbowl News also reports that Marjorie twisted the knife further still by not giving Johnson or Trump a heads up about her announcement, which could put them in a bit of a pickle in terms of who the hell are they going to run to replace her, and, working with Georgia's Republican governor to schedule some sort of election. It puts Mike Johnson in a bit of a bad state. We'll probably talk about that in a separate video. But yeah, Jake Sherman says MTG was trying to screw Johnson and Trump. It's no wonder she didn't give them a heads up. So let's get into what Trump said this morning about this. So Trump trashes MTG this morning in a response to her resignation. He says, Marjorie Taylor Brown, and he calls her Brown because her last name is Green, and he says green grass rots and becomes brown. So, haha, well done. Marjorie Taylor Brown, because of plummeting poll numbers and not wanting to face a primary challenger with a strong Trump endorsement where she would have no chance of winning, has decided to call it quits. Her relationship with the worst Republican congressman in decades, Tom Massey of Kentucky, also known as Rand Paul Jr., because he votes against the Republican Party and really good legislation, did not help her. For some reason, primarily that I refused to return her never-ending barrage of phone calls, Marjorie went bad. Nevertheless, I will always appreciate Marjorie and thank her for her service to our country, President DJT. Well, it sure doesn't sound like you appreciate her all that much, because you spent virtually all that time insulting and mocking her, and you're apparently pissed, okay? So, again, he's all over the place. That was this morning. Now, last night, when Marjorie Taylor Greene made her announcement, Rachel Scott, who I believe is ABC. She's an ABC reporter. She is. And by the way, Rachel Scott has had some high-profile sparring with Trump. She was the woman during the 2024 election cycle when Trump went on, I can't remember what it was, but it was some sort of like press conference. He was interviewed by Harris Faulkner of Fox News, Rachel Scott of ABC News. I think it was an all-black panel. It was one of his worst interviews, and she hit him hard with pretty fair but brutal questions, and he lost his shit. So it's that Rachel Scott. She gets under Trump's skin. So she said last night, she goes, I just spoke with Donald Trump on the phone. He said a Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning, quote, is great news from the country. Quote, I think it's great news for the country. It's great, Trump said. I asked if she gave him any heads up. Quote, nah, it doesn't matter, but I think it's great. I think she should be happy, he said. He then went on to say, when I asked Trump about the rift between the two of them, Trump replied, quote, only between me and her, not her and me. Only between me and her, not... What? Only between me and her, not her and me? I don't know what that means. I don't know if I'm not caffeinated enough at the moment, or if Donald Trump is an idiot, or a combination thereof, but I have no idea what the hell that means. He said, as of now, he has no plans to speak with her and wishes her well. Again, doesn't sound like that's the case. And then, hilariously, he appended a statement about New York City Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani, and we discussed that meeting yesterday. And that's not what this video is about, but it's interesting to note the juxtaposition. So he's openly shit-talking and disrespecting Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been a loyal foot soldier of MAGA, and I would argue even now is still too loyal to Trump, right? That's part of the reason why I don't buy into this, oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene's a good ally. No, she's a wild card that Democrats can and should deploy against Trump, but she's not an ally per se. She's still too loyal to him. But Trump throws her under the bus because she dares defy him on a couple of issues. Meanwhile, Zoran Mamdani, whom he's called a jihadist, a Muslim extremist, a communist, that should be deported. He's talked about deporting Zoran Mamdani. He's talked about just unilaterally and unconstitutionally cutting off federal funding to New York City, punishing 8.5 million people simply because they elected Mamdani. That guy, this is what Trump has to say about him now, saying, quote, they had a great meeting. Quote, "It was good chemistry. It's always nice to have good chemistry with people." Adding, quote, "He couldn't be nicer." So it's so funny how things flip with Trump, right? At the drop of a hat, loyalty is only one-sided. There is no reciprocal loyalty. You are expected to pledge your life and your fealty to him, and he will accept it and then discard you whenever he damn well pleases. And that's the arrangement, and you're just going to take it. I will remind you of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I want to play this clip. It's about a 90-second excerpt in which she kind of laid into Trump. Not the only time in the video she did, but one of the most important parts.
I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well.
That's true. That's true. They indeed have. Because, of course, it was never about reciprocal loyalty. It was never actually about delivering for the American people. It was about populist rhetoric simply to propel him into power. And then he could do it to enrich himself and his family. So, again, it was the most obvious con job. Donald Trump is not particularly subtle. He's not a particular mastermind. He's doing it in broad daylight. And some of you people, and I include Marjorie Taylor Greene, were too stupid and deluded and, animated by nefarious purpose to see the truth until you became a victim of it, right? So again, I prefer delayed epiphanies to no epiphanies at all, but it's like, we got to be real about this. You aided and abetted the most obvious con and the most obvious con job in the modern history of this country. Like, you should dedicate your life to atoning for aiding and abetting Trump, the way that Adam Kinzinger has, the way that Liz Cheney has. I offer a degree of respect for them for doing so, because they were loyal Republican soldiers to Trump, and then they had an epiphany. Well, as a consequence of that, you should dedicate your entire life to supporting Democrats. Marjorie Taylor Greene, unfortunately, is not there. But let's finish this.
Till then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office, with my last day being January 5th, 2026. And I look forward to seeing many of you again.
So again, she announced that it would be the day before January 6th, which is ironic given that she was a supporter. She wasn't in office at the time, but she supported the purpose of the January 6th insurrection to prevent the peaceful transfer of power and President Biden's victory. Again, there's just so much to unpack there, and we're going to do several videos about this because MAGA's reacting to this, Democrats are reacting to this. There's a lot to unpack, but I really wanted to focus on the specific rift between Trump and Greene, because it was their relationship that defined so much of the MAGA movement. Again, not that Greene was a co-leader of MAGA, because there is only one leader, and that is Trump, but she was like the high priestess of MAGA, right? She was, in many ways, the most prominent and iconic of Trump's inner circle, and certainly the most faithful, as she herself makes the case. Now, in response to Trump's unhinged reaction this morning, she says, "I believe in the American people. You're stronger and more resilient than you know. There are no leaders that will save this country, but you, the American people, can. If we all stitch our torn and battered, beautiful Star-Spangled Banner back together, we can do anything." So she's trying to take the high ground, which is ironic because, again, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? But she's trying to take the high ground and show a degree of class and dignity compared to Donald Trump. Again, this is so fascinating. But there you have it, folks. Trump went apeshit today. He's all over the place, ranting and raving, and then also trying to insist that he's happy and he respects her. But I think that I don't know. This is a seismic political development, and it'll be interesting to see in the next coming days and months how MAGA responds to this. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.